There's two parts to every conversation. The first part, we have to ask, what is the general climate of the relationship? A climate is made up of the amount of commitment between two people, the amount of trust between two people, the amount of acknowledgement that already exists between two people. If the climate is good, then you can talk about difficult issues. If the climate isn't good, then I would avoid difficult issues until the climate has sufficiently been improved. It'd be like trying to play tennis in Michigan in January. I guess you could try to do it, but pretty soon tennis rackets are going to get broken, balls are going to freeze. The climate will not allow you to play tennis in Michigan in January. That's why you'll notice on firework advertisements at the very bottom, it'll say weather permitting. Well, that should be true of every difficult conversation. We have to ask the question, what is the general health of the overall climate? If the climate is good, then by all means proceed and have a difficult conversation. But when you sit down to actually have the conversation, where should you start? Should you start by presenting your perspective, or rather take time to listen to the other person's perspective? The ancient writers of the book of Proverbs say in Proverbs 18:13, it is folly and shame to speak before listening. In other words, it's folly to speak before I know your perspective. I have no idea even what you're talking about, but I want to debate you. But notice that the ancient writers also include it's shameful to speak before listening. In other words, if I feel like I don't even need to hear your perspective, I'm demeaning your position. I think it's so simplistic that I don't even need to hear it in order to debate it. No, what these ancient writers propose is that we take time to listen to the other person. So when we start a difficult conversation, I want to begin by listening to your perspective. Why is it that you have this conviction? The Harvard Negotiation Project says the biggest mistake we make in discussing difficult issues is we only trade conclusions. We don't share how those conclusions arrived, why we have those particular convictions. After listening to you, it's very important that I seek to find common ground. In other words, as I listen to you, I could be thinking the entire time, well, you're wrong about that. No, that fact isn't true. But rather, we should listen with an understanding of what you said was true. Oh, I think that was a good point. I never considered it that way. That way, we evoke what is called the rule of reciprocation, which means, generally speaking, how I treat you is exactly how you're going to treat me. If I start off with argument, you're going to argue right back at me. If I start by raising my voice, you're going to raise your voice back at me. But conversely, if I start by listening, showing you respect, and seeking to find common ground, when it's my turn to talk, hopefully you'll reward me the same dignity by listening, finding common ground with me, and acknowledging my perspective, and we're on our way to having a good, difficult conversation. If you'd like more additional information about marriage or relationships, visit our website, cmr.biola.edu.